There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we're terrified of it.
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. I guess it was late August 27th, I believe, when I did an episode about the Las Vegas alien incident called Escape from Las Vegas. And in that episode, toward the end of it, I touched on a series of text messages that I had received from a person who presented himself as a relative of the Kenmore family of Las Vegas. Of course, they're the family who had alien craft land in their backyard, and they had encountered extraterrestrial creatures, and they're able to film them in about a 1 minute and 41 second long cell phone video. And they actually called 911. We talk about this case all the time, of course. But in that episode, I was talking about, toward the end of that episode, I talked a little bit about this person who had contacted me, who presented himself as a member of the not the immediate family, but a member of the family, and he said that he told me quite a few things. The first off, I just want to say this: the way this person contacted me was very, very unconventional. I must say that. Okay, the person did seem like he was legitimately afraid in the text messages. That was the feeling I got after he did start communicating with me, and he told me quite a few different things. Like he indicated that the clothes that the family members were wearing that night when they encountered these aliens, that the clothes were taken from them. 2 cell phones, the one that filmed them and also the one that Angel called 911 with, were taken from them and never returned. There was just some weird things about it, and also. This person had informed me something with relation to comments that Angel Kenmore had made just about a year after this incident happened to News Nation. If you remember in that episode, I talked about it was actually 3 weeks after Scott Roeder, the crime scene reconstruction expert from Ohio, he came on my show in 2024. It was actually April 2nd, 2024, and he laid out the proof. He showed us that this wasn't faked. We actually see alien, non-human, intelligent entities in the video. He said it was 100% guaranteed that this wasn't a fake or a hoax, and that there are actual entities in the video. 3 weeks later, Angel Kenmore showed up on News Nation, and all of a sudden he had a different story to say. He said that he didn't think they were aliens anymore. He thought that they were demons, and he talked about a cross that was floating in the air by itself and then landing on the ground, and also that Bible pages were turning by themselves. Now, this person told me, who in different text messages, that wasn't the case. Anyway, here's from that episode. There's a little 2.5 minute segment, I believe, from that episode when I talked about what this relative told me with regard to Angel's comments that there were supernatural poltergeist-like occurrences going on after a year after this incident happened with the aliens. Check this out. Well, I've received some evidence. I've heard from someone, let's just put it that way, that's not true. That was something that he was forced to make that statement. Then it was 3 weeks after. It was 3 weeks after that Vindication Day podcast that I ran on my channel, and Scott Roeder was on, and we laid it all out, where Scott Roeder guaranteed 100% that this proves that there's something here. 3 weeks later, all of a sudden, we're hearing that it was demons and that the family was going to move out of the house soon. And they did. Eventually, before the end of the year, they ended up moving out of that house. But now this is what I heard. I had been contacted in a very strange way earlier this year. It was back in May by somebody who presented himself as a relative of the family. I can't verify this. I did have many text back and forth with this person. He contacted me in a very unconventional way, and there was a lot of information that he provided that suggests that he knows what he's talking about. I can't prove it though. But this is what I was told. I don't know if this is true or not. Let's say it's a rumor. But what I was told was that they were approached, and Angel was approached by agents. I don't know, agents from where? Who knows? Were they from the government? Who knows? Maybe they were men in black. I have no idea. Okay, this is the story. They were approached by these people and told that they want you to come out and say it's a hoax. They want you to tell that it's a hoax, and Angel had said, hey, if we do that, people are gonna, they're gonna be angry, they're gonna come after me. How about if I say it's demons instead? And these people, these agents, whoever they were, agreed. So, hence, what happens next? Then there's these new interviews where Angel says, oh yeah, it's demons, and we're moving out of here soon. And there were other things I was told too. This person provided other information. Again, I can't say if it's real or not. I can't prove it. I can't verify if this person is who he says he is, right? But some of the things that he talked about seemed reasonable, and I don't know, but I can't say with 100%. So again, take this with a grain of salt. Other things that happened were that the cell phones, the cell phone that was used to film the creatures, was confiscated, along with another cell phone. And also clothing that they were wearing was confiscated and never returned. And a lot of other strange things. Let's just put it that way. So I just want to point that out. Now, as I indicated back in August, I can't prove 100% that this person who was contacting me is an actual relative of the Kenmores, because I never talked to this person face to face. All I have are these emails, or it's not emails, text messages that were sent. That's it. I don't have anything else. But it seemed like the things he was saying, it seemed like, well, he knows a lot here, right? It seems like this could be real. But there was some new information I came across, and I want to just point this out before we proceed. Now, this person, he got a burner phone in order to contact me. That's basically what he claimed, and I had the phone. I have the phone number. Of course, I'm not going to reveal that phone number on here. However, I did some research, and this relative, and as he presented himself, the way he told me what his relationship was with the family, right? We did some research here, and we found out that there actually is that kind of a relative who does live in the area where the area code is from. So if this is a hoax, right? If this was a hoax, this person who was contacting me, somebody went through an awful lot of trouble, because they made sure that, like, if I were to check, I would find out that this cell phone number, the area code, actually does line up with where this person lives in somewhere here in the United States. Okay, so that to me is starting to lean like this is real. Again, I can't prove 100% that this is an actual relative of the Kenmores, but it seems like it most probably is. I can't say that with 100% veracity, but I want to say that now the person actually didn't even give me his real name. He just told me what his relationship was with the family. I did some digging. We did some digging here, and we found out that, okay, there is such a person that lives in the area, at that same area code, the same region of where that phone number comes from. So I just want to point that out. And so today I want to talk about some of the other things that this person was talking about, which I didn't get into. And again, we got to take it all with a grain of salt, although I am right now leaning toward this being real, that this is a real person, and the concerns that this person has with this whole episode are real, right? But even if it's not, let's just put it this way. Someone has gone through a lot of trouble in an effort to try to discredit this case. That's what it seems. That's what it would seem like if this is not real. If these messages I received were from somebody else, say a debunker or somebody from the government, right? Somebody's gone through a lot of trouble because they didn't tell me they set it up in a way where I wouldn't know exactly who this person is, but they did enough. They provided enough information for me to be able to track down, okay, this is where that person would live. So that area code matches up to where this person lives. So I just want to point that out. But I don't think it is a hoax. I think I'm leaning now toward this this series of text messages. It was a back and forth. It went on. It started in late May, and it went all the way until July. That's the last time I heard from this person. I tried reaching out a few times after that. I still have never heard anything back. For all I don't know what happened to them at this point. I know that he was very scared. That's what it seemed like from all the messages. So maybe that he just had it. Maybe he got rid of that burner phone and that he had enough. Maybe he doesn't want to deal with this anymore. But I'm not going to show all of the text messages here. I just want to show some of them because I want to talk about these two weird guys, right? This is what he was talking about. These two weird guys that showed up, apparently from the government. He doesn't know. They don't know for sure, right? They looked really strange, right? They acted really strange. They disappeared at some points, and they couldn't be filmed with the cell phone cameras, apparently. So there was attempts to film these guys, but there was some sort of a jamming going on, according to this guy who was sending me these text messages. And just so you know, so I'm going to have some of these messages on the screen, some screenshots here, and you'll notice I have the phone number whited out right up there, redacted, right? And as we go through it, there's some other redactions that I employed in an effort to try to conceal the identity of this person in case, people are trying to figure out who it is, like particularly say somebody from the government or the control group. I mean, actually, the control group, they do this kind of stuff all the time. Just ask John Greenwald from the Black Vault. He'll tell you all about it, right? So maybe if they're paying any attention to this episode, I hope they'll be more impressed with me now. Anyway, let's start here. Now, this was early on in this series of text messages that I was receiving from this person. He was talking about weird calls they were getting on phones. They were getting phone calls from people they don't know who it was, and they would just hear breathing, right? Or they would hear a lot of static. Like, this is what he wrote. He says, weird calls on all of phones, just breathing, and all call would hear static like it was being heard. Not only us in the United States, we all have family around the world, and even family we haven't spoke to in years got approached and called. Yes, what he was talking about here was not only were relatives of the Kenmores from the United States being contacted by these weird guys, right? Relatives in Brazil and in Europe by the same two guys. We're getting. This is what this guy's saying. Again, I can't prove this 100%, but I am leaning in that direction that it is real. So that was one thing they were talking about. So let's move on to the another text here. I at this point I had written to him. I said, I am sure there are people who don't want you to talk publicly about this. Your family, as far as I know, stopped talking about this. Are you still being contacted? And this is what he wrote back. He said, some of us in the USA, including blank, were threatened only one day after Angel had posted the video, and we told him to stop talking. I don't know how these people found out where we live, but they showed up at night right when we were getting home from kids' practice. We have skills playing football, and they followed us to and from practice. That's what made us so scared. And then I asked him if it was still happening, and he had indicated that it had died down somewhat. And then let's move on to the next text I have here. I had pointed out to him that there's this about the UFO control group. I wrote, there is what many of us researchers believe to exist, a secret UFO control group that has been keeping this reality from the public for years. They don't want everyone to know this phenomenon is real. That is probably who has been scaring you. And then he wrote this. He says, the same two men that visited, and I have it blacked out, but I'll just say that visited his family, were the same two that visited Angel and told him it's best he said it was a prank. Otherwise, visas would get revoked in the family. But when he said he would get hate and potentially get hurt, they said, okay, well, say it was paranormal. And that's why he said what he said. And then he also added to this. He said, there's so much more to what happened since the beginning. And then later on, he writes, what really scares us is them showing up to our family, some in Brazil and some in Europe. They were visited and questioned by the same people here in the States and approached in public. We don't know how we haven't or know where they live ourselves. How did they know? So that's when we knew they can find us anywhere. So that was something that was scaring him. I wrote back to him saying, the government has ways of figuring out who and where anybody is. I'm pretty certain they have their eyes on me, too. I actually sent a letter to the Pentagon explaining this incident a year ago, and they never responded. Yeah. Okay, and then later on, This was another text message he wrote to me. He says, "We didn't want anything to happen to our children, so we just listened to them." Angel said he tried to call the police when they showed up and they started collecting things in the backyard, but it's like they had a jammer or something. They couldn't even get footage of them leaving. It's like they had something to make all electronic devices fail. And that's what we think happened in the backyard. They had either some sort of jammer or something. The hard drive was took when they showed up, and they promised to let us know once they clear up the problem, but they never did. Later on, I suggested that maybe it seemed like these guys were like Men in Black, and here's what he wrote. He says, "The first thing they did was test for radiation, but they already knew we weren't lying, but they wanted to see if they only stayed there in our yard, but they kept testing the roofs of the houses too for some reason, like if they were tracking. They always say Men in Black, but these guys, apparently, they had long sleeves, charcoal gray shirts." And then he talked about their appearance. He says, "They were real pale, like a white person who's been inside the house for months. No tan, not even a little bit." And then later on, he says, they had no freckles, no pimples, no scars, or even wrinkles, just flawless skin. My wife noticed that right away. And then after that, I wrote, could have been MIB. Angel and Joshua said during one interview that a vehicle with government plates showed up in front of their house, and the three people inside all looked the same and turned their heads at the same time to look at them. It could be alien hybrids or government agents using scare tactics. And he wrote back this. He says, "One was about 6 foot tall and thin, and the other was weird, about 5'9" my height and kind of chubby, but what's weird was he had a skinny face, arms and legs. Just the belly was big, but it didn't fit the body." A relative of his said he looks like Mike from Monsters Incorporated, his body shape. So that's pretty weird. So these guys, they're very, very pale. One was tall, 6 foot tall, very thin. The other one had a big gut, and everything else looked skinny, and they were very pale. So you have to wonder, were these government agents? Or were they MIB? Maybe aliens are checking in on them. Who the hell knows? Okay, moving on to another text message here. And here's what it says. It says, "Again, they made them say lies, but Angel just said things a bit wrong. He didn't want to say the truth of every detail, fearing something can happen." I suggested this. I said, "One thing you might consider is going completely public and complain about what has happened in the aftermath. This tactic has worked to a certain degree for others who were in similar positions as you." And this is something else he related. He says, "They stole a couple of their cars, and when they called the police, before the police arrived, they found the cars down the block." So apparently, Bobby, Kenmore, Contra, the Angel, there were some cars that were missing. They called the cops, but before the cops arrived, they figured out that the cars were down the street somewhere. So they were moving their cars around. And then I start talking to him about Bob Lazar, and then later on, he writes, "Look, just like our family talked, how can you come out to say this without looking crazy? And as far as cameras, we think the only reason Contra," that's the mother here, who filmed the 1 minute and 41 seconds worth of footage that we see aliens in, the only reason they believe that she got that footage was because she had already started to record it, and she was far away. Her phone and all of their phones died soon after, even when the police were there. We think it's the radiation these things come with. They told me they kept trying to record or take pictures, but almost none worked only outside and when she was standing behind them." So the other thing I want to point out too, it seemed like he was voice texting me. I think he was saying things, and then that's why these texts are a little bit messy. That's what it seemed like to me in a lot of the cases. Maybe sometimes he might have been typing things out, but I think in a lot of the cases these were mere voice. He was just speaking out loud, and that's why it's a little bit messy here and there. There's no periods, and the sentences don't end sometimes. Like that tells me that he was just speaking into the phone. Anyway, he continued later on. He wrote, "Twice our neighbors said they couldn't call us because the call wasn't going through. There was one police car here at our home outside, and when we came inside after we got home from dinner, we felt like things were moved around in the house, like they were looking for something. Nothing was broken, and we have Ring doorbells, but they didn't capture anything. It's like they jammed the Wi-Fi. That's what scared us the most." So apparently, there were people going into their house when they weren't there at times, and that was scaring the hell out of them. And again, these people, right? They're not even. This isn't the main family. This isn't the Kenmore family. These are different relatives that we're talking about here, who weren't even living in Las Vegas, right? And then on top of it, other relatives were getting contacted by these same two weird-looking guys, right, in Brazil and in somewhere in Europe, according to all of this. Here was some more information that he shared. He says, there's so much more things we can't say, like how they took all of my relatives' clothes and never gave it back. And then later on, he says, I asked him who did they say they were, Homeland Security, and he said, they said they were the police detectives, but we never saw a badge. Angel said no policeman or police car came. They showed up at night as well. And then finally this one. It says the last time they showed up, Angel tried to record them, but he couldn't. The phone was like froze, and they said they were going to the backyard, and that's when he tried to record, but they never came back out. It's like they disappeared or left through the backyard of our neighbors. Now, I can't prove 100% that these are actual text messages from an actual relation to the Kenmores. I can't prove that, right? But a lot of the stuff that this guy's saying, and I'm not sharing all of it. There's other stuff in this that I'm not going to get into, okay? But to me, right, it's if this is what's going on, this is crazy. But we heard stories like this before, right? We've heard Men in Black stories. This is nothing new. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, especially considering this case, right? This case is the one that ends it, right? As we've been talking about. But obviously, there are forces out there that want people to stay away. They don't want people to know about it, obviously, right? And regardless if this is real or if it's not, then if it's not, then you have to think to yourself, well, somebody's really, really spending a lot of time to make it look like it is real. Right, so I that's why I'm having trouble with that. I can't imagine them trying to do this to discredit. Now, let me just point out. I want to point something out here. Now, some of my associates with who work on this case, so we talk, about this privately, right? We've come to realize a while now, for months, 6, 8, 10 months, something like that. We've come to realize that there are certain people out there that are in contact with us. We call them handlers. That's what we call them, right? Handlers. We don't think that they present themselves as people who are interested in showing this evidence, but in reality, they're trying to discredit it, right? They didn't think we knew about them and what they're up to, but we do. We're not stupid, right? So I just want to point that out. So we know about the handlers, okay? I just want them to know it's not working out. You need the CIA or whoever's responsible, you need to get better people. You need to get better people in this, right? Because it's too easy. If they're not your guys, then they must be debunkers working on their own. Trying to do things to discredit us, to discredit this case, trying to feed false information. It's not going to work. It's too late. I don't know what you're thinking here. I mean, the video proves that all of the different attributes to this case, you put them all together, it points in one direction. We're not alone. There's something here. There's no question about it, right? So all these efforts to try to discredit this case, they're not working. And if it is the government agents bothering these people, you got to stop. You got to stop. I mean, it's over. It's over. Let them talk. Let the people know already, for Christ's sakes. What are you doing? If this is real, then you got to be ashamed of yourself. I mean, this is the biggest story of all time. You're not going to get rid of it. There's too many people that know about it now. And again, to the handlers, I just want to say one thing before I wrap this up. Be seeing you. Anyway, I just want to say this. Thank you all for joining me today. Until next time.